Begin this morning at City Hall with news that was largely expected but isn't official just yet. Mayor Lori Lightfoot, she's going to run for re-election. First reported by the Sun-Times and confirmed by WGN. A formal announcement is expected soon. Lightfoot is already facing challenges from Alderman Ray Lopez and Willie Wilson, but Congressman Mike Quigley said this week he won't pursue the office. He didn't back out without taking a swipe at the mayor, claiming his own polling showed he would win in a head-to-head matchup. That news also comes the same week that City Council gave the mayor a potential political boost. Despite concerns the move could send the wrong message, aldermen narrowly approved Lightfoot's plan to give out $12.5 million in prepaid gas and transit cards to Chicagoans during a busy week at City Hall. Efforts to move the remap battle forward stalled. Latino aldermen backed off a plan to try to revise their map that will be put in front of voters. And the map, backed by the Rules Committee and Black Caucus, well, that picked up another supporter.
It's the clear leader in creating the strongest opportunities for Asian American voters and keeps more of today's 11th Ward together than the other. It's imperative for my community that our voices are strongly represented now and into the future.
New 11th Ward Alderwoman Nicole Lee said she's going with the so-called Chicago United map. She said she heard from constituents and community groups, and the map with a majority of council support keeps her community intact as much as possible. But Lee is willing to support a compromise. 41 council members have to back a new map by mid-May. Otherwise, Chicago voters will be asked to choose one during the June 28th primary. Alderwoman Michelle Smith's 43rd Ward covers parts of Lincoln Park, Old Town, the Gold Coast. She joins us this morning to talk about all of this and so much more. We need hours, but Alderwoman, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the news at the end of the week. Mayor Lightfoot basically saying she's going to run again. Mike Quigley is out. Arnie Duncan is out. Do you see any serious contenders for her against her right now?
No, you never know who else could run. But it's certainly not surprising that the mayor is going to run again.
All right, let's talk about the remap. Biggest issue, the Latino caucus actually this past week wanted to trade out a map that they had presented with the map that was modified through the efforts of Change Illinois with community input. That got blocked. You're one of the folks who worked to block it. I guess my question initially is why block a map that had community input and better reflected the Latino increase in population?
Well, I actually disagree with both your comments.
Okay.
First of all, I and many of my colleagues are very much in touch with the community about what they want for the remap. 10 years ago, I turned out 1,000 people just to fight the remap. And I was also aligned with the Latino caucus 10 years ago. So I'm not supporting that map and the effort to change the map for two reasons. First of all, it's a mulligan. Everyone knows there's a thing in golf where if you think you got it wrong, you try again for a fake cheap shot, and that's what that was. And secondly, I find the map that was attempted to be introduced to really be the Protect Ed Burke map, because it still keeps 58% of his voters, places where he did strong, against the map that I support, which gives him the only precinct which is the one he lives in.
Which you also know, by the way, but the map you support also basically draws Aaron Ortiz, who won the Democratic committeeman position and probably a strong contender against Burke. He's drawn out of the war.
Well, let me say this. My job, my ethical obligation, I felt, was to draw Ed Burke out. Anyone can run who lived in a prior ward, so Mr. Ortiz, who I don't know, can certainly run against him, as can a lot of other people. So I think we've done our job right.
But one of the things that you said today is, so you had issues with the map itself. The question that I had and what I've read in terms of your statements was that you thought it was bad precedent to allow for a change because then it could happen with any kind of legislation. So was it a procedural issue or was it the substance of the map issue?
Well, listen, it's mostly a procedural issue about the integrity of the referendum process. And on a substantive matter, I don't agree with that map.
All right. So we're just weeks away from when a final decision would have to be made by the City Council with 41 votes. So crystal ball time, is that going to happen? Are voters going to chime in?
Listen, compromise is always good. We'll see what happens.
So you think there may be a deal?
Always possible.
All right. And if it goes to the people, one of the things that's going to happen is the people are not going to see the maps. They're just going to see who's supporting which. Shouldn't people get to see the maps?
Sure they should, and they will see the maps. I mean, we certainly
okay. Well, Alderwoman Michelle Harris, I believe she said on the show that they wouldn't actually see the maps.
Well, maybe not in a little ballot, but there will be plenty of opportunities for people to see.
Oh, sure, available, of course.
Sure.
Ethics is your area. You chair that. I want to talk to you about some of the reforms. A lot of reforms got deferred at Wednesday's meeting. First of all the aldermen, everybody's concerned about ethics, and then your stuff comes up and it's deferred. Why?
My understanding, we put together a very comprehensive package. And I think one of the aldermen didn't understand one of the provisions. So rather than ask me about it, he threw it to rules. We're going to get it out of rules at its next meeting, and there's going to be a vote.
The city council, of course, very quickly put in the new inspector general, Deborah
Yep.
Witzberg. A lot of excitement about her. But it seems that with all that excitement, nevertheless, a lot of the ethics reforms that come up, various aldermen sort of shoot them down and go after them. So is it sort of a, yeah, we want to have people here, but we don't actually want to pass these changes?
Well, let me say this. There's always, I'm afraid, there may be some people in city council who is not as in favor as the current city council generally is. We've already passed the strongest lobbying provision in the United States of America against elected officials who lobby. That's the strongest provision. We passed that. We passed the rule that says you can't do tax appeals work anymore if you are an attorney. We've already passed those. Now I'm sure we will pass the vast majority, if not the entirety, of the reforms that we've just proposed.
To which I can hear the tweets coming in already where people are going to say, well, it's interesting because you may and you passed other things, but meanwhile, just of recent ilk, Danny Solis, Patrick Daley Thompson, Ricardo Munoz, Ed Burke, Kerry Austin, they're still in this process of being indicted. So do you ever seek the change? Do you ever get the change that you seek?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody who's under indictment right now, which I applaud that they're under indictment, speaking as a former federal prosecutor, all their conduct is pre-2019. The kinds of things that those people did are not even allowed in our ethics code anymore. So you can't lobby each other for favors. You can't do tax appeals work. And indeed, you really can't hold up people's public right-of-way permits for a drive-through like Burke did, because we now have a new process that almost entirely takes the alderman out of the process.
So you have to take these things almost situation by situation. I want to talk about a couple of things that I read, and they just kind of floored me that we need to have this. But anyway, here's one of them. Former aldermen will no longer be allowed to work the room during city council meetings because they've gone off to become lobbyists. What? So an alderman who served, but now they're not, they get privileges to be on the floor and start working you during the meeting?
This is a relic. That's the only word I can use. This has been going on for decades. And it's unbelievable to me, too, that this was still allowed. So we're ending it.
Another one that sort of surprised me, if, say, a committee chair says that they have a conflict in something they're voting, until your reform, they can still just run the committee meeting and keep going. It's just insane to me.
Yes. Well, we tightened it up a little bit, but now we are saying you have to stand up, announce what your conflict is, leave the room. And that is something, again, was tolerated. Ed Burke was famous for running a finance committee meeting, saying, I recuse myself, and then glaring at the people on the committee to make sure they voted his way on something that he had a conflict. No more.
What do you say to colleagues? I know at least one older person who said, you know, we don't even go far enough here, that there's still issues with aldermen's spouses, aldermen's partners, you know, and so what will any steps be taken?
We're addressing that in this series of reforms.
How is that?
So our reform, until now, and yes, it's somewhat shocking, the only time when you were barred from being involved in something involving your spouse was if you as a city employee, were involved in managing a contract. I guess that's all that could get passed in the past. Now we are barring not just aldermen, but any city employee from having anything to do with work being done, work in which their spouse or any relative has anything to do with. So we are ending the I got a guy at City Hall culture.
Yeah.
That is really what this series of reforms is about.
The I got a guy series of reforms. I love that.
I got a guy.
All right, let's talk about the transportation relief that got passed this past week. Narrowly passed, but there are some older people who said, look, this money should be spent in mental health programs and other social programs, and others, of course, who said, yes, people need the gas relief, they need the CTA cards, and some say this is an election year gimmick. What do you think?
Well, I voted against it because I am a firm believer in public transit and believe that we should do everything we can do to encourage people to take public transport rather than cars. I see the arguments on all sides of this.
Would you have voted, had they separated out the CTA cards then, you would have voted for that piece?
I might have voted for just a CTA card thing. So, but I did vote against it, and they got the votes to pass the rest of it.
And of course, City Casino. everybody wants one, but nobody actually wants it in their backyard. We've had some of the aldermen on the show talking about that. Lots of pushback. So, do you see any possibility of either old options like McCormick Place that got knocked out coming back, or these three are the three?
Well, I asked about that at a committee hearing about whether the McCormick Place option could come back, and was told in the meeting that that would lengthen the process. Personally, I think it's important to get this right. So we will see where it goes.
Sounds like the efforts will continue.
Yes.
Alderwoman Michelle Smith, thank you so much for being with me. We covered a lot of ground.
We sure did.
I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot.
Coming up next, hear from